with the youngest, most daring, intrepid, gutsy, fearless host on the planet. Get ready for Jake's Takes. Here's Jake.
Welcome back! I am Jake, and this is Jake's Takes, where I get your favorite athletes and stars to open up and speak what's really on their minds. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you won't believe the guests I have lined up. Today's guest was born and raised in Pennsylvania. In high school, he competed in soccer, track and field, wrestling, and football. Upon his graduation in 2008, he attended Washington and Jefferson College. He competed on the men's soccer team during his freshman year, but then decided to dedicate his time to the sport of boxing. In 2010, he competed in the Golden Gloves boxing tournament, where he finished runner-up. In 2014, he moved to Miami, Florida, to attend St. Thomas University School of Law. While in school, he worked full-time at Neostar, a sports agency. In 2017, he graduated with his Doctor of Law degree, as well as his MBA in Sports Administration. That same year, he was named a partner in Neostar Football and earned his NFL PA contract license. As an NFL agent, he's worked with some of the most notable names in sports history, including Hall of Fame quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino, and Hall of Fame defensive end, Jason Taylor, Hall of Fame safety, Troy Polamalu, and so many others. It's my absolute honor to welcome to Jake's Takes, Vice President and Agent of Neostar Football, Mr. Sammy Spina! What's up, Sammy? How you doing?
I'm well. How are you? That's by far the greatest intro I've ever had in my life. I need to record that and take it everywhere with me. You know, I just want to walk in the room every morning, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and just play it over the loudspeaker.
That sounds awesome.
Thank you for that.
No problem. So, it's so nice of you to join me today. Thank you so much. So, wait, I believe you live in Miami, right? Miami?
I do, yeah. You're in Canada, correct?
Yep.
Is it nice and cold where you guys are?
It's not too bad.
All right, we have a little cold front here. I think it's like 75 today, so it's a little bit chilly for us.
I love Miami. My grandparents actually have like a condo there, and it's amazing. We go a lot. It's so fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm coming next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You guys got to let me know.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can all come see The Office.
That's awesome. That would be sick. Are you married? Do you have kids?
No, I'm single. I travel too much. It's difficult to actually settle down and meet the right person. Just trusting God and God's timing in that. And whenever it occurs, it'll occur for the right reasons at the right time.
Yeah, I'm one of 6 kids. It's a crazy house over here.
One of 6. All right. So where are you at? Are you the oldest, youngest, middle?
I'm the third. So about like...
Okay.
So, like, if we, like, split up to do, like, different trips, I get to go with, like, the older kids because, like, I'm, like, the third year.
So you get to sit at the cool kids table?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome. Well, first and foremost, Jake, I got to say, I'm super impressed by the way you reached out to me. I know it wasn't your first option. You know, of course, Dan Marino. I mean, how can you argue with that? But, you know, we're both from Pittsburgh, so, you know, I'll take the little victory here. No, I mean, you're a worker, man. You're a worker, and you quoted something in your email to me. You said you miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take. And I believe as soon as I read that, I was like, wow, like I get 1 million of these emails a day, but this one really stuck out to me for not only what you've been doing, because I've watched some of your episodes, but even just to have the courage to go out there and do it, man. So first off, kudos to you. Please pay attention to math class, though, because I know you were emailing me during math class. We can't have you get in trouble. You got to graduate with all A's.
Yeah, math class, something else. So, you ready to talk some football?
Let's do it.
So, my grandfather always tells me to dedicate my time to something I love, because then I won't work a day in my life. It looks like you're doing just that, Sammy, and you're a perfect role model for this phrase. Tell me what it's like doing every single day doing what you love.
First off, your grandfather is an extremely intelligent man, because that's 100% true. I think no matter who you are, like, find your why. That's what I always tell people. Like, what is the one thing that gets you going? What makes you wake up in the morning excited? What do you go to bed praying about? Like, what is that driving force? And for me, it's always been try to help out. Like, try to help people in any capacity. I'm a big giver. And so I wanted to find a career that I can do just that. And I had zero intentions of being a sports agent. I actually wanted to be a lawyer, a criminal defense attorney, and help people in that capacity. But, it's a blessing to be able to fall into your purpose and be able to wake up each morning and know that you're going to have a completely different day than you did the day before.
Okay, so Sammy, I'm 11 years old. Can you please explain to me what an NFL agent does?
Yeah, so we do everything, I guess, right? I think in the general sense, when you look at players on TV and you're watching an NFL game, everyone playing in that game, they're under a contract with the team, which is essentially their employment contract, right? Like if you were to go work at Starbucks, they pay you to play. So what I do is I negotiate how much money those players pay, or those players on the field are getting paid by the team. So I know you had a general manager on here, a hockey general manager recently. And so I would essentially negotiate with him, with the football version of him, to see how much money I can get from him for my players.
Right. So it's like 20, no 10, 20, 10, 17, deal.
Exactly. You nailed it head on.
Yeah. So growing up, you must have been a big sports fan. But how exactly did you break into sports?
Yeah, I was a huge sports fan. I know you mentioned it a little bit in that hype intro that I got to go back and listen to at least 20 more times. But I played almost everything growing up, and I give a lot of credit to Taekwondo, because I think for me that's where I got my discipline early on, and I've kept it with me. But I broke into the industry honestly through God. I had an opportunity. Someone told me no, and Jake, like you said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So I took your advice, and I kept knocking on the door. They kept telling me no. And one day I just showed up with all my stuff. I moved in the office anyway and started answering phone calls. And that's how I got my position.
Nope, I'm not moving.
Exactly. Or in my sense, it was like, yes, I am moving. I'm moving right in. You're not kicking me out.
So growing up, every kid has their favorite player they follow. Which players did you idolize? And did you ever try to work with any of the players or teams you followed?
Yeah. I mean, growing up in Pittsburgh, you're obviously everyone that lives in Pittsburgh is a huge sports fan, and they're diehard Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Penguins. It is what it is. For me, growing up, oddly enough, I was a huge Darius Kasparaitis fan who played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was a hockey player. And I recently just did work on it with him. I had him on my podcast probably about a month ago now. So it was cool to have everything come full circle. I hadn't seen him since I was your age, since I was 11 years old. And he was my favorite player when I was your age. So it was kind of cool to have that all come full circle. But I think one of the cool things, too, is now working with the Pittsburgh Steelers, being able to work with the people that you see on TV and be able to work with some of the people that, you saw growing up.
Wow. So Lamar Jackson is my favorite football player right now, and I want to ask you a question. So he's easily the best rushing quarterback, in my opinion, ever. I think his passing gets underrated and thrown under the bus just because of how good he is at running. People say he's an awful passer. He's not. In my opinion, he's pretty decent at passing.
I agree with you. 100%. Lamar's a very unique and special player. Lamar is able to do stuff that no other player in the world can do. Just from, like you said, his running ability, how he's able to not just elude the rush, but literally take off like a running back or a wide receiver and do things that some of them can't do in the league too, right? So because of that, it does take away, because I think one of the big things is media loves to talk about the things that they can nitpick at. And when you're so good at one area, like running the ball as he is, or making moves and just making plays and being a playmaker, you have to find something negative to talk about. So what is it? All right, let's talk about his throwing. But I think Lamar proves every single week that he can silence the criticism, and he's one of the best players in the NFL.
So here's a question that I think is going to be pretty interesting. I bet there's a lot of competition in your market, and players can choose from many different agents and people to represent them. What is it about Sammy Spina that stands out from everybody else?
Yeah, you nailed it right on, man. There's the competition is fierce, right? So for me, it's just about being true to who I am and trusting in God and never letting the industry itself sacrifice my morals. So whoever signs with me, they're going to get the same person every single day. I'm not going to change because one thing happened or another thing happened. I'm always going to stay true to myself. Nothing's going to change my character. Nothing's going to change the integrity that I have. But the other thing is, no one's ever going to outwork me. So Jake, whenever I was in my mid-20s, I lost my father. My father passed away with cancer. And I got to be there with him whenever he took his last breath. So I told him that nobody would ever outwork me, was one of the last things I said to my father. So that's one of the biggest things that anybody's ever going to get whenever they sign with me and choose me, is that nobody will ever outwork me, no matter the day, no matter the time. If I don't need to be there, I'm still going to be there.
Wow. By the way, looking at some of the stars you represented, I got to ask you about Miami Dolphins legendary quarterback, Dan Marino. Yeah, I know Tom Brady gets all the fanfare nowadays. Rightfully so, though. But when my dad was growing up, Dan Marino was possibly the best quarterback ever. It seems he's been forgotten about unfairly, very lately. Where does Marino rank all time in quarterback list?
All we're going to say is 4 letters, GOAT. He's the GOAT. I mean, it's hard to really argue against it. He did stuff that no other quarterback at the time was ever able to do. I mean, that's really when the league wasn't a true passing league like it is now. He was able to put up the numbers he did while getting beat up as bad as he did too. The rules were a lot more lenient then. And it's hard to argue. He had a trait similar to Lamar has with being able to make plays. Danny had that same, ability where maybe it wasn't running the ball, but nobody was getting that football out of their hands faster than Dan Marino.
So can you tell me any great stories about Dan Marino? The ones that not everybody knows?
So I'll tell you the first time I ever met him, all right? So I was in the office, and I had never met him at this point, and I'm eating a fast food restaurant called Pollo Tropical, which is down here in Miami, and it's just like rice and beans and chicken. And he walked in the room, and I look up, and he's on the phone, and he just looks at me, and he goes, "What's up, dude?" And I had a full mouth of food. So I looked at him back, and I was like, "What's up, man? Do you want a bite?" And that was the first thing I ever said to him. And from that moment on, it was just like, a natural chemistry. We both learned that we knew a lot of similar people back in Pittsburgh, just being both from the area, and had a lot of common grounds to talk about. So I can honestly say now that, I'm very blessed to be working with him and all the other people that we work with. And he's really one of my closest friends at the end of the day. So it's really cool just to have that relationship with anybody.
By the way, I know Drew Brees is considered one of the best ever. He certainly is. He's pretty good. He had an unbelievable completion percentage and won a Super Bowl. But most people nowadays they rank him ahead of Marino, which is ridiculous. Because if Marino played in this era, his stats would have been way better, especially his quarterback rating. Do you agree, Sammy?
Yeah, I think it's hard to disagree, right? Whenever you look at the way Danny threw the football, it's hard to disagree that his stats wouldn't be astronomical right now. And it's funny because he gets this question a lot, and his answer is always the same. You know, he always says, yeah, it would be because I don't have to back it up now. I don't have to go prove it. So he can say it would be whatever. But, I mean, you can't take anything away from Drew either. Drew did some incredible things with the football, and you know, he's definitely one of the best players to ever play, and it's hard to argue with any quarterback that wins a Super Bowl, you know, and to do it in the fashion that Drew did and come into that city of New Orleans and help them essentially turn everything around. And then you have the hurricane come in and devastate the city, and they bounce back and win a Super Bowl shortly after that. It's just, it's literally a storybook type of ending.
Okay, Sammy, right now on Jake's Takes, it's game time! And we're playing some rapid fire. I'll ask you a bunch of short questions, and you answer them as quick as you can. Deal?
Let's do it.
Let's go. Chicken McNuggets or a Whopper?
Chicken McNuggets.
Who was a better safety, Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu?
Troy Polamalu.
What's more likely, the Jacksonville Jaguars winning a Super Bowl or getting Governor DeSantis to put on a mask?
That's a tough one.
Your favorite college sports team?
Florida Gators.
What's one rule you would love to introduce or remove from the NFL?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I want to see more touchdown celebrations and personality.
What's your favorite stadium?
It's hard to argue with Miami, but I really love Atlanta Stadium.
Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen?
Oh, that depends on the team and system. I can't give you an answer to that one. That's a tough one.
Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
What's the thing you first notice about someone when you meet them?
Their personality and genuineness.
Best receiver in football today?
I gotta say Josh Hammond.
Best sports movie ever?
Mighty Ducks is a great one.
Is Aaron Donald the best defensive player ever?
Ever is a big statement, but he's definitely a generational talent.
We got a winner! What a stellar performance from Sammy Spina. Mad respect for that showing. Were you nervous, Sammy? I think you might have been.
I was a little nervous, man, because you were drilling me quick with those questions. I didn't know where you're coming from. Some of them you had me a little bit on the edge, too. The boxer brief one, I really thought you were going to say boxers versus MMA fighters. So I was already thinking of the answer in my head to try to beat the question timing.
Trying to get ahead of the game, eh?
You,
Trying to get ahead of the game.
I'm trying to. I tried to cheat a little bit there, and it cost me.
Cheaters never prosper.
No, they don't. And, hey, kudos to you, man, because I don't know how you spit them off like that.
Just one more question for you. Sound good?
Okay. Let's do it.
It's crazy impressive looking at some of the lists of sports stars you worked with. As I mentioned before, just to name a few. Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino. Hall of Fame defensive end Jason Taylor. Hall of Fame safety Troy Polamalu. 49ers running back Raheem Mostert. And also many others. So I have this sports podcast that you're on right now. What advice can you give an 11-year-old kid like me so one day I can become as successful as you are?
Honestly, first and foremost, stay true to you. Jake, what you're doing right now is absolutely incredible. You're putting yourself out there, which is one of the hardest traits that anybody can ever learn to adopt. So first and foremost, stay true to you, but be persistent. And I think that's something you already possess. Continue to hone in on that and just network. I think the one thing I always try to leave people with, right? It's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. So always remember that. Make yourself known. I think you're doing an incredible job at that. If someone were to pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, should I get on Jake's takes? I'm going to say yes 10 out of 10 times right now. So I think that's really what you need to take from everything, is just to continue doing exactly what you're doing right now.
Thank you so much. Sammy, I got to thank you so much for joining me today on Jake's Takes. This has been such a cool experience for me. Did you have fun with me today?
Jake, I had a blast. Thank you so much for even thinking of me, man. I'm super honored. I'm super grateful.
I hope we can stay in touch, and it was so awesome to have you join me. Thank you so much. All the best. Hey guys, you won't believe the guest I have next week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.